So, guys, Justin Bieber's "What Do You Mean?" Is it a perfect song?
Ooh.
Wow. I mean,
Oh.
just starting it off heavy.
Yeah, I was in the grocery store and it came on, and I'm telling you, I was jamming, like just losing my mind in the store because I hadn't heard the song in a while, and I was like, man, is this song like the most perfect song ever made? Because it might be. It's been like 5 years since it came out, and now I'm thinking that maybe that is the most perfect song that's been made ever.
It's got to be pretty close, right? I can't think of a bad time I've heard that a time I've heard that song and I've been in a bad mood or disliked it, like or turned it off. I've never turned that song off of the radio, of Spotify, of wherever. Um, what aggravates me a little bit though is that my grocery stores aren't nearly as cool as yours, where they're playing that. I might spend some nowadays. I'm like trying to get out of a grocery store as quickly as possible. If it wasn't already like that to begin with, but you start throwing jams like that, we're gonna stick around. We're gonna make an afternoon out of this trip. But that
Make an afternoon out of it.
know.
But that's Dan, you're different. You would make an afternoon out of being in the grocery store. That's
right.
not common.
Yeah. I'd like actually to get that phrase on a shirt. I like that. That's pretty good. Dan, you're different.
Welcome to the Brunch Breakdown, ladies and gentlemen. It's Daniel here it's Didi out here in California, Dan in Pittsburgh, Chris in, where are you?
Well, if we go by the first episode, I'm solidly in Pennsylvania.
Yes, solidly in West Virginia. Yeah, solidly in West Virginia. Chris is, what's up? This is your brunch podcast where we don't really talk about brunch because there is no brunch, but it is starting to open up as the world is starting to open up. And we're going to talk a lot about music on this podcast today. A lot about weird concerts, drive-in concerts, weird nightclub things that we've read about. And there might be some NBA, NHL talk because they are back as well. But there is a new segment that we are going to start on the show called Get Off Your Chest, right? Or should I say it with your chest? Maybe. We're workshopping it.
We'll workshop it. Yeah, workshop
it. Yeah, we'll workshop it where we take a minute and we just get whatever is off of our chests. Which one you guys want to start? Who wants to start it?
Go for it, Dan.
Get it off your chest. Say it with your chest.
Dan got here in a mood, so I'm ready to go with true. Dan.
I did. I almost reshifted this entire segment to focus based on how, the rush I had to get here to our recording time here. But all right, start the timer, gentlemen.
Say it with your chest.
Go. What I got to get off my chest. I'm just, I hate to be old man, get off my lawn type of thing here, but I'm just really, fed up with technology right now. My computer at work just completely shit the bed. I spent 4 hours today with tech support from Apple, 2 of it on a chat, the other 2 on the phone, trying to figure this shit out. It's just like, man, it'd be nice to be, to not have to worry about this right now. There's enough other things to have to worry about. So technology, I've had it. I've had it with you. I will say though, shouts to Brittany at Apple support, one of their engineers. We were able to mostly solve the problem, but technology just not feeling it this week, fellas. That's what's been aggravating me lately.
Damn.
Boom.
Sorry to hear that, Dan.
Good. Shouts to Brittany, though.
Shouts to Brittany. That's never fun because technology issues only happen when you really need to get something done. So that's frustrating.
Speaking of really needing to get something done, the other part of this segment, if I had 2 minutes, I guess it would have been not responding to work email guy, especially internal people. I'm talking days, and it's like you wait 2 days and then you follow up because you don't want to be rude, and you're like, hello.
Yeah.
So that's the only disadvantage of not being in an office. I can't poke my head in someone's office and be like, hey, jackass, I know you got my email because we work for the same company, so what's up? So to that guy, screw you as well.
Do you guys ever put people on like 24-hour or 48-hour rules with email? Like, because I hammer away at that. And if people aren't getting back to me, the longest I'll go is 48 hours. And if they don't respond after 48 hours, I will just every 2 days, I'll keep hitting them up until they get back to me.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You got to be a squeaky wheel sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, I need answers. I got to get shit done. you know?
The worst is when you know somebody's not doing anything. That's what gets me, because like usually it's like, because I will tell you, I am not somebody who responds to emails very quickly at all, right? But whenever I send somebody an email that I know exactly what they're doing, and I'm almost like looking at them, I've walked past their desk, I know you're here, I know you've seen it, and then they don't respond to me until it's like 6 o'clock. I send the email at noon, they don't respond to me till 6. That makes me more mad than probably anything, because I'm like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've sent out like 10 tweets. Like you just wrote like a Facebook novel. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Or if you have an email that's outstanding with somebody, and then the next time you hear from them, they're touching base with you about a completely different subject, and then you just continue to leave the thing that you need to talk about unaddressed.
The worst.
I don't like that.
The worst.
I don't like that.
Yep.
All right.
Good topic, Stan.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. Had to get this off my chest. Who's ready? Who's up next? Who's in the batter's box?
All right. I'll go.
Do it, man.
So we talked last week about having conversations, right? As we talked about all the fallout from George Floyd's death and everything like that. And social media is really bugging me this week, because we talked all about having conversations and asking why, and not jumping all over people and attacking them, and just trying to actually have a conversation and learn from each other. And I feel like that never happens on social media, but social media has the power to do that, because we can connect with people from anywhere at any time. So we had a lot of examples of that this week. Drew Brees was one of them, where he talked about not kneeling and his feelings about that during the national anthem, and people jumped all over him, and then he apologized. And I thought that was just a great opportunity to have a discussion rather than shout at each other. Other sports personalities have had this type of situation happen. People are getting mad at people for not responding quick enough, or not saying things exactly the way that other people want them to say the things that they want them to say. So I don't know. I want to reinforce what we talked about last week, and just say, like, let's try and talk to each other, and let's stop shouting at each other, and let's have some conversations, as opposed to being so hell-bent on jumping on top of people the minute they do or do not do something that you want them to do.
I love it, because that's the truth. And that's probably the thing that's frustrated me the most this week too, is just that, like, people don't want to listen to anyone, even though you will watch somebody, post something about everyone needs to listen to each other. Everyone needs to be this. And you'll see them post these memes, or you'll see them say a tweet, and then like the next moment they are doing exactly the opposite of what they just said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But the Drew Brees moment was great though. I love it.
It was a perfect
moment.
example of how he had an opinion, his teammates talked to him, and then he understood the other side of the opinion. And we saw the progression of, like, that's how it should happen, right?
Yeah.
And we don't all have to always agree on everything. We may leave those conversations still disagreeing, but let's try and have them, as opposed to just immediately, butting heads over it and screaming at each other.
Yeah. And he didn't even say anything so radical either. It was just like, I listened. We had a conversation. I understand it. Who knows if Drew Brees even changed his POV about the kneeling or anything, but it's like he now understands it. Yeah. And like, you're not going to go on, somebody's show and say that again, because that that's not what it's about. So I just thought that was cool. Like, I loved it. A lot of people have talked about how, they ganged up on Drew Brees. I'm like, I don't think that's what it was. I think a lot of people expect Drew Brees to like be smart. You know what I mean? Like, you have to understand who this person was. So I get that. Yeah. Conversate.
Didi, what do you got?
All right, here we go. Here's what I got off my chest. Protests, they work, guys. They work. And there's a lot of people who are like, man, protest, it's so stupid. Why don't people silently protest? Why do they have to block off streets and block off highways? And, why do people have to riot? And it's like, for what we've seen over the last week. Like, that's what it is. Like, we've seen police departments that are being defunded. And when you say police departments are being defunded, they don't mean disband the police department or just everybody's going to be running around here like the Wild Wild West. What they mean is that, LA took $150 million off of the police budget. $150 million. So if they're taking 150 off, how much do they give the police? That money could go
Right.
could go to schools. It's insane. But like you're seeing all of the positives of protesting happen right now, and you wouldn't have seen that if the world wasn't on fire, a couple weeks ago. And it stinks that those things have to happen like that. But when people need attention and they need your attention and they're sick of it and they're fed up, like that's when they have to go out there and do this. And protests work. And also with Colin Kaepernick, you're seeing the NFL completely change course with the kneeling, with how they thought about the kneeling. You saw Roger Goodell put out the statement. The players put out the statement 4 years ago when Colin protested for the first time. We all were confused. Everybody had their own reasoning why this was that. But now that we've taken 4 years and we all know, and now people are changing their mind, protests don't happen overnight. That's what I just had to get off my chest. Like when you start protesting something, everybody's uncomfortable. That's what a protest is. And now people are understanding it because it takes people time and to understand what's going on. And now they do. So protests work. They just take time. That's what I feel like we're all learning right now.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
do you guys,
by the way,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, is Roger Goodell have like an iPhone 6 or something? Like, what's with the quality of that video? Like, you kidding me?
Dude, it's bad. Super grainy. I'm like,
and like also, what happened to the like posh ass basement he was in during the draft? Because that's not where that video was recorded.
No, I don't know where that video was recorded, which adds to an internet rumor because a lot of people were saying during the draft that like he wasn't at his own house.
Was it he just was in a room of green screens? Is that all that it was?
Like that's what a lot of people were saying on the internet the night of the draft. They're like, "There's no way Roger Goodell is going to let us." No, is going to let internet sleuths like figure out where he lives based on him being on camera for like 10 hours or whatever.
Right.
That's fair.
But that is true, man. Why was that video so bad?
I have no idea. I don't understand. I really don't. It was terrible.
Upgrade your Wi-Fi, Roger Goodell.
Come on,
like I feel like everyone had to since we've all been at home except Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didi, on what you just ran through, I don't know. Do you guys feel like we're living in? I wanted to tweet this week, but every time I tried to type it out, I felt like I wasn't wording it correctly. So maybe I can kind of talk through it here, because there's nothing positive or happy or special about George Floyd's murder, but I feel like with the series of events that have happened and the movement that has just exploded out of that one moment, I kind of feel like we're living in a special period of time right now, if that makes any sense. Like, do you think I feel like we're gonna look back on this time in 20 years as something like that kids are going to read about or learn about in a history class someday. I just feel like these moments have happened before. We talked about it in the last episode, and we've seen protests come from them, but I don't ever remember them being protests that broke out in every major city in the United States and also most counties in the United States and like 25 other countries around the globe. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think there could end up being like a history class on, like, it's History 2020 is going to end up being a class because there's so much to cover.
Yeah, that's
We're
true.
only halfway through this year. But I hope we are, Chris, but I hope we're doing it for the right reasons. I hope it's not just because of the initial after effects of everything, that it's not just about how widespread the protests were and how initial action was, took place. But hopefully within the rest of this calendar year and years and years and years to come, this is looked at as that, not first domino, surely not first domino, but like heaviest domino that maybe started, the big push of the wave. It certainly feels that way, as if everything going on with the coronavirus already didn't feel like this was a moment in history where, we're going to talk about forever and people are going to look back on this time. And now, hopefully this is something even bigger, particularly in this country. But like you said, it's even having effects worldwide, that I hope that we are. I hope that we're living in that time but again, for the right reasons, that it's because of what happens from this point forward and all the positive that can come out of it.
Yeah, I think the same way. It's just like this feels different. It feels so different, but I think, but it's like when just like what I was talking about with the protests and how these things happen. It's like remember in 2014, the first time we heard anybody heard somebody say Black Lives Matter, it was a controversial thing. Like it was like, wait, what do you mean just Black Lives Matter? What does this mean? Is this an organization? Is this a group? Is this whatever? Now 6 years later, everybody knows what it is. Everybody knows what it means. Like anybody who's saying all lives matter still as a response is just an idiot. Like you can literally just say you are an idiot. Like where have you been in the last 6 years where people have been trying to explain this to you? Because I refuse to. I'll talk to anybody about anything. I'm not explaining that to anybody anymore. Like I'm done. Like I'm absolutely done with doing that. But that's why this is different. I feel like it's like you have a whole, you have kids who were maybe in middle school when Trayvon Martin, when what happened to Trayvon Martin, you may have had, and they've grown up with this. We're talking like a full like 6-7 years of just this being bashed in kids' heads. They've been living with police brutality in their pockets. They've been living with racial injustice in their pockets, and now they're like, wait, like this is wrong. Everything is wrong about this. That's why you see the diversity of the crowds in the protest, and and it's like you actually see the country in the protests. And I think that's like a really cool thing. And they're not slowing down either, because I thought they would be slowing down, and they're not. They're just getting bigger. Like LA had their biggest protest this past weekend.
Yeah.
You have 50,000 people just taking over Hollywood, and Philadelphia was insane, and just cities all over the country. And even the small counties in places where I saw a lot of people like retweeting like cities in Texas. They were like, I can't believe I'm seeing this. Like people were literally like, I don't think I've ever seen this, populations of like, 4,000 people, out there protesting and stuff. And I mean, it all feels different. And I feel like we're living in a textbook right now. Like that's what we're living in. We're living in a textbook right now.
Well, I say Dan said that's just going to be 2020 history is going to be like an entire course, and you could already fill it up. It's only June, but man, I feel bad for the kids that have to study for the final of 2020 history because so much shit has happened. Like that's almost not fair. It's only June, but
right, long way to go.
Yeah, long way to go, kids. Study up now.
Start the 2-semester class.
But I just think about that. It's crazy. It's like I have a 20-month-old right now. She's going to be, I don't know, probably she'll be when she's 10. She's probably going to come home and be like, hey, we learned about 2020. We have to like write something about what you learned in 20, like what you were doing in 2020. And I'm going to be like, at what part?
Yeah.
You mean
where do you want to start?
Yeah, it's like, do you mean when there was almost a World War III? Do you mean when Kobe Bryant died? Do you mean the quarantine? Do you mean George Floyd? Like, what do you mean? Like, where are we at? Like, and we're only halfway done with this shit.
Do you mean when the World Series was ended on Christmas Day? Is that the year you're talking about?
Oh yeah, you remember when the NBA Finals were in October?
Right?
Yeah. They ended right before Halloween. Yeah. Like what? So that I just think about that. But yeah, that's a good point. We're living in a class right now. We're living it out. So it's pretty interesting. But guys, this is what we wanted to talk about since we started this podcast back up again. Music. We all love music. We all love it so much. If it's your first time listening to the podcast, we are huge music lovers, and we've been waiting for the right moment to talk about it. Well, guys, it's here. Let's talk about some music. First, I want to talk about, though, is Chris, what are you listening to right now?
Me first.
Quarantine, what are you jamming out to? That's what the people want to hear.
So
Chris.
are we going to go like shot for shot, or are we going to go through our own lists and then somebody else goes through a list? Or like, how do you guys want to do this?
We can go shot for shot.
Let's go shot for shot, because I wouldn't want to listen to me and my whole list just for 10 minutes.
No, let's not do that. Yeah.
Well, then I'll start since you gave me the honor, Dee, of starting this new segment back. It's not a new segment, bringing back this old segment of what we're listening to. I'll throw it to an artist that you introduced me to, which is Breland. Because Dee said that I needed to listen to Breland. And okay, so the I guess the featured track on his EP is My Truck, right?
Yeah.
That's accurate?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the one with the remix with Sam Hunt. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great song. It's not even close to the best song on his EP though. Like the minute I started playing the EP, I was blown away. Never heard of Breland. I didn't even know what to expect. I was talking about country music in an episode, and Dee Dee told me to listen to Breland. I didn't know what type of music I was getting myself into, but like there are so many song of the summer ish potential jams on the EP. It's really, really impressive. So my two favorites are Hot Sauce and In the Woods. But Woods is not like the woods. It's WOULDS, which I thought was pretty creative. But it's like that country type of hip hop thing that's happening right now, and I enjoy it a lot. So thank you for putting that on my radar.
You are welcome. You're welcome, Chris. Because I interviewed Breland like right before quarantine, and like my friend Austin, who is one of our heads of music over there, he was like, you have to do this interview, right? And I was like, because I forget what I had to do. I had something to do. And he was like, you have to do this interview. Like, I'm not taking no for an answer. And I was like, okay, whatever. I listened to my truck and I was like, oh, okay, I got it. I got why I have to do this. And then when I met him, the kid's a superstar. He's one of those people that bums me out over putting music out during quarantine, because I feel like when more people see him and talk to him and hear him do interviews and see him in person and watch him perform, it's like he's out of here. And so it's like, it bums me out that like he, put it the EP, and like now it's kind of like, you got to still look for him. But this dude would be performing on the Tonight Show. This dude be everywhere right now. And but yeah, I love Breland. He's a superstar. So yeah, I love the whole EP, and it shocked me too, because I was like, this is incredible. Hot Sauce is the jam. But,
like I had listened to My Truck originally, and then I was like, okay, this I right or wrong kind of got an impression that like this was maybe like almost like a gimmick, but then when you dive into the whole EP, like every song is good, every single song is good, so I would highly recommend it.
Dan, have you not listened to Breland?
I have.
Uh-oh.
I dove in. I know My Truck. I know that's a jam. I mean, I'm going to give you that. I dipped my toe in the pool on some of the other ones. It's just there's a little too much country sauce in that water for me, just a little bit. And I probably need to give it more time. I need to give him more time to dive more into the EP. I kind of, like I said, just went like beep beep beep, and just to get a feel of what we're getting there. But it takes me a long time to warm up to music like that. It does. Like Lil Nas X, I don't know why it took me so long to just like get into him. I really don't. And I like feel like I gave it plenty of time, and it just finally clicked one day. So I'm hoping for the same thing here. I trust your instinct, Dee Dee. It always usually works out for me in the end. So
you can't like everything.
That's true.
You can't like everything.
Maybe this isn't one, but I'm not going to completely give up on him yet. I know there's enough jam in there on at least one of those songs that it's worth he's worth keeping on the bulletin board.
Can we get that t-shirt? Dan can't like everything. There's so many t-shirts we can make for Dan.
Honestly,
Dan can't like everything. I like that one too. Yeah, all the brunch merch is just going to be Dan inspired. It's just going to be Dan inspired.
Plenty of gold here.
Yes. All right. Well, Dan, what are we listening to? What's up?
Oh man, there's been a lot. I'm gonna go albums first if we're gonna go around the horn here. And the first one is from All Time Low, one of my favorite all-time bands. Funny. But they put out an album a little earlier this year called Wake Up Sunshine, and it's just amazing. Like it's like they're kind of different pop punk, right, Chris? And I think you can kind of get that too, where it's not old school pop punk, but the structure of it's there, and they're very upbeat. Their previous album, was with a new label, and it kind of took a direction some people didn't like. I did, but I think this one is fantastic. The song Monsters is a repeat song for me, but the album top to bottom is fantastic. Excited to see those guys back. Really bummed was supposed to see them on a summer tour this year coming through Pittsburgh. It'll be next summer instead. So it's, try to keep that wave of momentum with the excitement of that album. Hopefully it doesn't get forgotten, but I don't think it will. It's a really, really good album that I haven't been able to stop listening to for a couple of months.
Yeah, you can't listen to an All Time Low album and not have something stick in your head, which is impressive.
Yeah, and they're great. They've never really hit that slump or area where they take too far of a left turn that just completely changes their sound. They're still very, very consistent in getting you catchy, memorable beats in songs, and they're continuing to do it again. I think there are going to be a couple of radio hits out of this one.
Well, the thing I like about All Time Low is they want to stay current, where they could go another direction. It's like they try to stay current without losing themselves, And that's what I've always liked about All Time Low, and just the stuff that they've put out, in the last 5-6 years. It's all been, it's still them, but it's also like, no, like we're still, we still want to be out here. We still want to put out radio singles and catchy music, and it's not just staying in the same place. I like that.
Spot on. Didi,
all right,
you're up. What do you got for us?
Charlie XCX, How I'm Feeling Now. That album is so cool, so experimental. She did it all throughout quarantine. She did it in a month, just sending files back and forth, Zoom meetings, Zoom writing sessions, all this stuff with her producers, and the album comes out sounding incredible. And it's just I feel like it is the perfect album for like right now, because it's a fun album. It's got serious tones. It's not crazy upbeat, because like it's kind of hard to be sweaty in your house dancing to music, but it got a super distinct sound that I just absolutely love right now, and no one else is sounding like this except for this crazy rap group named like 100 Gex, but she sings over top of like their kind of music, and it's incredible. There's a song called 7 Years that I think is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be a huge hit, but I think it's going to be a song that like a lot of us know maybe in the fall. And I mean, it's just Party on You is great. Just the whole album is incredible. And I'm just happy that she's back, and she's been doing a lot of weird things with her sound that I didn't like. And this one, I think she landed on, and I really like it. So Charlie XCX, How I'm Feeling Now, that album is just super good. Super good.
I agree with you there, Didi. When I was listening to that album, I expected to maybe, hear a couple of songs that I liked and a couple of songs that this is strong stuff from her. That's definitely an album to check out. Chris.
I'll be honest with you, I have never heard of this person before in my life, so I will check it out. I'm over here because I have a word
X sees X. This isn't even a dude.
He's like, what? Charlie?
Yeah.
I know Charlie.
I typed down what I think you said, and I'll see if I can find it.
Oh my God. Man. Yeah.
Charlie I'll just look for our Twitter account to tweet about it, and then I'll find it that way.
There we go.
But Charlie XCX. You know the song Boom Clap.
Boom Clap.
It's possible.
You know the song Boom Clap. You know Fancy by Iggy Azalea. She's the one who sings the hook on the song. Okay. God damn you, Chris.
Like the band. I mean, it's. I'm just not there. Didi. I'm like Dan with Breland. I'm not there yet.
We're trying.
What else you got, Chris?
So one of my all-time favorite bands, 4 Year Strong, put out a new album this year called Brain Pain. And I've been listening to that quite a bit over the last couple of months. They have 2 tracks off it that are pretty popular in the pop punk scene. Learn to Love the Lie and Talking in Circles. Those are the 2. So I'd recommend, if you want to check out anything from this album, check out those 2 songs. They had an album, 4 Year Strong had an album in 2011 that was kind of just not good. After having 2 or 3 that led up to it that were fantastic, they were exploding. And then 2011, I think it might have been a similar situation that Dan mentioned with All Time Low, where they switched labels. often that comes with a change in sound, whether the band wants it or not. And I don't know if that's specifically what happened with 4 Years Strong, but I seem to remember that something like that being the case. And I and a lot of people wondered, okay, what's the direction of this band? And then ever since that one shaky release, they've just had album after album again that have been really, really good. So if you haven't heard of 4 Years Strong before, I kind of have trouble putting bands into classifications. I would probably put them in the pop punk stratosphere. They're a little more on the heavier side. So they bring a lot of energy, but just because they're on the heavier side doesn't mean that they aren't talented musically. They actually did, I don't know if you guys saw, but Riot Fest, which is a big festival, which that obviously didn't happen. They had bands do acoustic sets on their Facebook page. 4 Years Strong did an acoustic set, and their melodies were unbelievable. These guys have really good voices. They're really musically talented, and they kind of combine it with their heavier form of pop punk. So, like I said, the album's Brain Pain. I would recommend it if you're looking to dip your toe in that area.
I like it.
Very nice. Very nice. I'm going to come at you with what is probably the longest album I'll listen to this year, from the 1975 Notes on a Conditional Form. Tremendous album. This was long awaited. It had been delayed 3 times. And honestly, a good chunk of it had been released as singles. So it's not all brand spanking new music, but it's 22 tracks. So it's a little lengthy. But again, you've probably heard a good portion of a number of the tracks off of there that have been releasing over the past couple of months. Me and You Together song, it's fantastic. What else is on here? Frail State of Mind is amazing. People is a great song, but you really got to understand how this band operates, and they're a unique set of characters, and they're absolutely incredible live. I've been lucky enough to see them live twice. Was supposed to see them live last week. And I had general admission floor tickets, which were so hard to get.
This whole segment's just going to be really rough for Dan, because I'm pretty sure he was going to see every band that he's recommending.
Yeah. It really, it pains me.
Sorry.
But it would have been amazing. But the album's a little bit of a roller coaster. It's an emotional roller coaster. It's not all catchy songs. There were some slower melodic things in there that they just do musically that kind of make you think. And I think it's super creative, and I think they're just a fantastic group, where usually when you get a 22 song album, there's a handful of absolute garbage on there, or just a bunch of interludes that last 20 to 30 seconds that make the album look longer than it is. And they really don't have that. Again, there's just some unique tracks on there, and I think they're absolutely fantastic. And again, would love to see them live, hopefully next year, whenever that may be. But Notes on a Conditional Form from the 1975.
Oh man, Dan,
not hitting them.
You know what I hate about this album?
All of it.
Literally couldn't get past the intro. I heard that Greta girl talking, and I was like, "Is this ever gonna stop?"
That's probably the one track you could skip. Yeah, where it's just you don't need that intro.
Okay, so for people that don't know, the 1975, and I like the 1975, and like Dan said, they are super good live, and I like them a lot. But their album starts with that Greta, whatever her last name is, girl, the climate change girl, like the 16, 17-year-old girl who's always everywhere for climate change. They have her talking for like 5 minutes about climate change. And listen, save the whales, the planet, all that good stuff. That's fine. I don't want that on a 1975 album. I just don't. I have no desire for that. Like, if you want to put that out, it's like a YouTube video. If you want to put that out somewhere else, cool. But you put that on the top of your album is just, guys, I'm not in. Like, I just wanted to sit down and listen to the 1975, and then I heard that, and I'm like, I mean, hey, listen, we talked about protests, we've talked about conversations and all that stuff, so who am I to tell somebody not to speak out for what they believe in? All I'm saying is 1975. I will get to your album later because I just couldn't. I was like, what are we doing? Stop it. I just want to listen to you guys. But they made a statement at the top of their album with that, I guess. But
and that was the thing, is I expected the song to eventually kick in, and it never does.
It doesn't kick in because
I saw the length. I saw the length of the track, and I'm like, where's this has to be just the intro to this song. And it's not. It's a monologue.
Yeah, it never comes in. Like I thought for sure it was like, okay, she's talking for a minute, and then then the song will kick in, and then we'll get why this is here. No, they just are like, Greta, just do your thing for 5 minutes. You are on a 1975 album. Go for it.
I'm glad you said that. So yeah, note to the people: start with People, track number 2. It's a 21 track album plus a bonus, monologue on the top. So
yeah,
just a little note there. Good point though, Didi. Good point.
Yeah. Here's a question though, guys. How long is too long for an album?
It depends on the genre.
Okay. Depends on the genre. Like
musicals, Chris? Like musicals? What's too long for a musical?
No,
55 tracks.
Like Drake will release an album and it'll be like 32 songs, and like you want to listen to all 32 of them. But like I don't. There are some other genres that I don't want to sit and listen to 20 songs of. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it depends on, are you listening to it in one sitting? I guess like I normally listen to an album from front. Like if I don't have the time to listen to the whole album, I'm not going to listen to the whole album. I'm going to do some playlist and shuffle things around. So I'm listening to individual songs. So that I guess it depends on that too.
I'd say that 45 minute to 55 minute, I won't go track number, but I'll say total length of time. Like 45 to 55 minutes is a good zone to be in. You start to get over an hour, and that can be tricky. Yeah, unless like Chris said, I think it has to be specific if it's a particular artist or genre. There aren't a whole lot of artists that I would look and see, 22 tracks on this album. Awesome.
Yeah, like you need to know that the individual or the band like regularly have things to say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things. It's like, it's a trend in music right now. It's streaming and all that, and it's just so easy to put out. It's so easy to put out music, so that happens now. But but I kind of like it when somebody puts out an album that's just like, it's like a full sentence. You know what I mean? It's like one project. Then you can put out whatever music you want in any other thing. But like, I just think of like Jay-Z's 444 album that was like 10 songs. It was 39 minutes long. I loved it. You know what I mean? You can put out anything else you want. Like, I like when people put out projects that are just like one complete sentence. And that takes me to another pick that I have that I think runs a little too long. The Weeknd's album is really, 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 really freaking good. Like, I love this album so much from the beginning almost until the end. Because then it just starts to kind of I'm like, we could have cut this song. We could have cut this song. It was like 3 songs. Like it's a 17 track album, 16 tracks, I think, 17 or 16. And it should be like 13. It's a strong 13. And because when you're listening to the album, you're like, oh my God, first song, amazing. Second song, amazing. You're down to like song 10. You're like, oh my God, he hasn't missed yet. And then the misses start to come. And you're like, why did we do this? You had a perfect album.
I could not agree with you more. You're spot on with that album. You just start to...
God. After Hours is the name of the album, by the way. My bad.
Yeah, it's a little a shame. You could have done a little bit trimming on there, but otherwise it's tremendous. It's really good.
It hurt. But Alone Again is amazing. In Your Eyes is super good. Like, that's a song that, I feel like it's just going to be around all year long. And I don't know when it's going to have its big moment, but I feel like it could happen at any time just because that's just waiting for like the right. I feel like if we had TV right now, In Your Eyes would probably already be a big hit. Like, it would have been on the finale of Grey's Anatomy. It would have done. It's a song that is like meant to just be out of here. Like, it is a beautiful song. And The Weeknd is really on, like, if you like The Weeknd, you're going to love this album because it's perfect. And he's, working with all the producers to make hits on this album, and it seems like it was intended for that. And Alone Again, anybody who's ever been through a breakup, Alone Again is a good one for Anybody who's been through a breakup, and then when you go out after the breakup with your friends, that's Alone Again, and it's like perfect. It's perfect when you're just, you're like, your friends force you to go out. That's the song.
Yeah.
Alone Again. Super good. If you guys know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying. When you get broken up with and your friends are like, yo, man, we got to go drink this off. Like, you got to drink this off, because that always works. You know what I mean? That's always perfect. It's the best advice. It's the worst advice friends give. It's like, oh, let's go get shitty. It's going to be perfect. Yeah, but that's that song, and it's great. It's great. But yeah, The Weeknd, After Hours, that's another one of my picks.
I like it.
So let's all give one more pick. What's the song, album, one more pick. Let's do it.
Perfect, because I only had one more to talk about this week.
Okay.
A lesser-known band named Sprainerd, and their album is titled Mabel.
Is this Dan? Sprainerd?
I was gonna say, I think you're stealing my notes with these names. What's up, dude? What is that? How do you spell that?
Dan?
Sprainerd, Spraynard.
Is that an actual word?
Well, I typed it into my Google Doc, and it gave me the red squiggly line, which suggests that I need to spell check that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sprainerd.
Their album Mabel. So this band is they're not, like I talked about 4 Year Strong, and how they are blessed with a lot of vocal talent and can have really great harmonies and melodies together. This band is not necessarily that, but the vocals are more raspy, and they just really work for the style of punk rock that this band puts out there. So they're kind of self-deprecating, and it's kind of hilarious as you listen to their lyrics, how self-deprecating they are. So it's one to actually kind of listen through and listen to the lyrics. There's a song called Applebee's Bar that I would recommend. If you check out any song by Sprainerd, check out the song Applebee's Bar.
Wow.
It is one of my favorites right now. I would recommend it. So that's my third and final recommendation.
Applebee's Bar.
Oh my God. That one.
I am writing this down right now, because I can't forget that one. Sprainerd, Applebee's Bar.
Yeah.
And they're from Westchester, Pennsylvania.
All right, there you go.
Oh, all right.
Oh yeah. Hit it, Dan.
That last one I have for you, no surprise to anybody, it's going to be a song, an individual song. It's Level of Concern by 21 Pilots. It's everything I needed and everything I didn't know that I needed. Absolutely perfect. This band usually doesn't do stuff like this. They usually completely go off the grid between albums. They were in the midst of, some touring when everything got shut down. So it took some time to write a song and release it. Tyler writes in his basement and produced it himself, and then put it out there, and it's just absolutely exploded on my radio. But I think it's going pretty well everywhere else too. It's very, very popular. It's just such a jam, and it's kind of, like I said, very unlike them to just drop a single, but it's also very unlike any other time that we've been in, and I can't stop listening to it. So Level of Concern by 21 Pilots I can't wait to hear that song live one day. Again, pulling at the heartstrings there. I will say, honorable mention, the album Possession by Joywave is absolutely fantastic. Another really, really good live band, who I was surprised to have an album that deep from top to bottom. Really good. Right amount of songs in there too. Nice short chunks. That's all we needed. Possession by Joywave, another good album to check out.
Are you going to sing some of Level of Concern for us? Because this is one of those songs that once you listen to it one time, you will be singing it around your house. You will be sliding on the kitchen floor in your socks. Like, it's just a really, really great song. Like, yeah. And they seemingly put it together in not very long time, not a very long amount of time. And it is cool to hear them like this, because I think one thing a lot of people were disappointed with the last 21 Pilots release was that they didn't give us that. They didn't jam a lot.
Right.
It didn't feel like it was like this. The album wasn't it didn't jam. It was good, but it wasn't jamming.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting this at all. I feel like you could change the arrangement of this and Bruno Mars could do it. Like,
Yeah.
it's a really good song.
Right. You're right. The album Trench was more based around the storyline, and they wrote around that versus I think a combination of nerves versus like, we're not writing for the radio because Blurry Face just absolutely blurred up. But level, it'll stay in your head forever. It's super catchy. It is written based around the time that we're in right now. They did an awesome job quickly too, a live version of it on Jimmy Fallon, which Jimmy was. It was Jimmy Fallon, which is available on YouTube, which they added a couple of instruments. The trumpet player from Mr. Wives is on it. That's an even more, if you can believe it, it's a dancier version of that song that may or may not already be on my wedding playlist whenever that wedding may happen. I'm not announcing anything, but that's already on the playlist, I can tell you right
now. All right, and then all right, for me, I have a couple songs that I want to point out that I know that people need to hear. Don't Waste My Time by Usher featuring LMI. That is I love that song so much. In hearing Usher in this way, not trying to make a pop hit, because Usher has enough pop hits. Like, I'm sick. Like, if there's anything that annoys me about people who were making music in the 90s, is, except for Beyonce. No, I'm not talking about Beyonce. Like, is them trying to still be like very current, like trying to be of the moment. And I'm like, I don't need that from you. I need you to just give us like smooth R&B jams that like aren't out right now, that that are honestly for people who are over 30. Like, that's what I need. Like, I don't need you to be making music for kids. And Don't Waste My Time, which was a release that was supposed to be on an Usher album that was going to be coming out this year, but now because of COVID-19, I think everything's just kind of pushed that whole thing back. But Don't Waste My Time is just a great, smooth song to listen to with your lady when it's about time for some action. You know what I'm saying? All right. It's Not All About You by Lawrence. That song is great. It's a brother-sister duo from Philadelphia. They have a bunch of other songs, but I don't really like any of them. But I do like It's Not All About You. I thought I would like their music more whenever I first listened to that song, but I really don't. It didn't really stick with me. So, Lawrence, It's Not All About You. That one song is great. It's definitely worth the look. And the last one is Roddy Ricch. Roddy Ricch, he had the number one song in the country. He's got the biggest song of 2020 called The Box. And what I think about that's great about that song, and one thing we'll remember in the textbook of 2020, is that song was the number one song in the country for 12 straight weeks from, I think, New Year's, like the New Year's Day, all the way till whenever. And it's still in the top 10 now, but it starts with him saying, fuck 12, fuck SWAT, which is fuck the police. And then he gives a call out for Zimmerman's head, and he calls out police brutality in the song. So another reason why the kids were ready for this revolution. The number one song in the country by a 20-year-old, the biggest song of this year so far. It starts out and ends with everything that's going on right now. So, and the song is just a friggin' jam. Like, and my daughter, 20 months old, loves the song. Has no idea what's happening, what's being said, loves the jam. So shouts to Roddy Ricch. It stops a lot of crying fits in my house whenever I put on that song. In the beginning has the distinct and she just loves that shit. So Roddy Ricch.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that is what we're listening to. But let's go from what we're listening to into concerts, man. No concerts. We all are fans of concerts. We're all fans of live events. As you know, Dan loves concerts because he mentioned going to everybody's shows that he talked about.
Yeah. T-shirt, Dan loves concerts.
Dude, this is perfect. Dan merch. Yeah. Stick
Dan.merch. Visit our website.
Dan.merch. Brunchbreakdown.dan.merch.
There it is.
.org. All right. So concerts are canceled, but people are being creative. There are drive-in concerts right now going on. It is a thing out here. I believe that the rapper Kyle's doing like a series of them for basically celebrating the class of 2020. And there's a bunch of country artists doing this in, they've done some already in like where drive-in theaters are and just in random parking lots. Are you filling up the car this summer? You down to go to a drive-in concert? How you feel about that?
Go ahead, Dan.
Hell yes. I need something. It's driving me crazy, the amount of concerts that I've missed and will miss over the next couple of months. I know it obviously won't be the same. It's going to be weird. And I've seen some of these photos and reviews of how these concerts have gone. You know, some of them really are drive-in style where you tune to the dial radio and listen to it through your car. And it's just like the visual there. That's going to take a little bit getting used to. Like, you know, some live sound a little bit more would be better depending on the setting, but I might have to make a road trip out of it. We don't have anything quite like that in Pittsburgh yet. Shouts to Live Nation. I know they're doing what they can and finding it where they can. They got to make that money too and pay those people, all their crew. But yeah, I've got to get something. I can't go an entire year without live music in some capacity. And I hope this opens up things in certain areas too for smaller shows. I know that's very big ask and difficult for bands to coordinate which states and cities and whatever they can go to with limited capacities. But get in a van, get on the road and hit up a couple of them. Some of these intimate shows I think would be really, really cool. Even in bigger venues, you know, to space people out. But drive-in concert, you know, I never thought I'd get that desperate or do anything like that, but I need it. Give it to me.
I feel like, so you guys go to the big festivals and whatnot. And yeah, Dan has all the Coachella posters behind him. If you're watching this on YouTube, that doesn't appeal to me. So I would love to, like, this idea of having my own personal space while at a concert sounds tremendous. I'm all about it. Like, I love live music, and you know, if it's like a smaller club scene or you know, things like that, like I love seeing bands in those intimate venues. But the bigger the venue gets, the less likely I am to end up going to the show. But if I can go to a drive-through show or a drive-in show, that's the Chris Gates stamp of approval right there. I'm all in. And I was thinking, one of my favorite eras in music was the early 2000s when drive-through records had just an insane amount of awesome pop punk bands all on the same level. And I've been thinking lately that if drive-in concerts are all the rage right now, drive-through records should be planning some type of reunion tour so that we can all go see. Like, there's never been a better opportunity for a small label to capitalize off of something like this. But overall, yes, I'm all in on having my own personal space while at a large concert.
I'm with you on this. It just depends on who it is. Because there are certain people that, like, I don't want to see in my car. You know what I mean?
You don't
like,
want to see them while in your car, or you don't want them to be in your car?
Both.
That's a good one, because who do I want? What artist would I want in my car, and what artist would I not want in my car?
Ooh.
That's a question right there.
It's a great discussion.
All right, yeah, stick a pin in that one.
Pin in that one. That's on next week's menu.
Good. Yeah, that's a good one. But no, it just depends on who I'm going to see. Like, you know who would be cool to see in a drive-in concert type thing? Ed Sheeran. Because you know what Ed Sheeran does on stage? He plays by himself.
Yeah.
Right? He does everything by himself with the freaking the whatever the shit's called.
All those pedals and shit.
He's got all the pedals. He's just up there performing by himself. And I love Ed. I think what he does is amazing on stage. And I think he would be cool to see in a drive-in thing. But you know who would be bad to see in a drive-in thing? Drake. We mentioned Drake earlier because I want to wow out to Drake shows. I want it to be a community type feel. Like when you go see certain artists, it's like you want to feel like it's just you and the artist, like you and the people you're with and the artist. But when you're going to see some other shows, like even 21 Pilots is like that because it's such a community. It's like you want to be around the other people. You want to be arm to arm with the people, you know?
Yeah.
But so I like the drive-in thing. I don't think the drive-in thing's actually going to go away. I think a lot of things will kind of go away with spacing of seating and stuff. I think the drive-in thing might like be something that we look back to this time and be like, oh yeah, they started doing this because of this, but they kept doing it. Because I think the idea is great. Like it just all depends on who you're going to see. Because I don't think it works for every artist.
That's a good point. Yeah, if there's somebody that I want to sing and scream every song to, I'm not doing that in my car, regardless of who else.
I'm picturing you leaning your head out the window, just like shouting.
But it has to be almost like a tailgate like atmosphere, because I know some of them are allowing you out of your car, but you got to stand within the vehicle. So if you could even like have that tailgate type of vibe with that type of show, I think Ed Sheeran was a great example. But yeah, it would certainly depend on the artist, because that could be you want to feel like a part of the crowd and just scream at the top of your lungs on some of these other artists, and that could get a little awkward in the vehicle by yourself. You'd be steaming out the windows. It's just not good. Not a good look.
Most country concerts would be better from your own car. As we're talking this out and as I'm thinking it through, the main reason I go to a country concert is for the tailgating. I mean, not the main reason, but a big part of it is because of the tailgate atmosphere that happens outside of these concerts, the larger ones at like amphitheaters and stuff. But normally I find myself, once I get into a country concert, it's just sloppy beyond my level of comfort. But if I could just continue tailgating in my car, keep those people away, man, that's the move right there. Country concerts where you just keep tailgating. I like it.
I'm a big fan. I like thinking about this because I never really said that out loud. Now I'm like, you know what? This works. I have a friend who's a big Jack Johnson fan. And if he's listening to this podcast, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I have no idea why you would go to a Jack Johnson concert, but he does it. Jack Johnson and drive in your car. I mean, that sounds great.
That's car jamming stuff right there. I'm all about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But now the question with the driving concerts though, is like, and you mentioned the country concert, and that's what I was like, oh wait, you better have a strong driver. It's almost like, is that going to be a side business for like Uber and Lyft now, where like they now are just giving people rides to concerts and your driver's with you all night?
Right.
That's not a bad gig for the driver.
I don't know.
Right.
That's a pretty nice gig for the driver.
And it's worth it. I don't know. It's like, or you rent you do the car service. It's basically like you're going to prom, but you're going to see Kenny Chesney.
Hold on a second. This is like, I think we've stumbled upon a business idea, and this goes beyond concerts, I think. Like, how many people just in general go to tailgate places and then people drive home that should not? But what if there was an Uber for tailgating where they like show up at your house? If you're going to a football game, they show up at your house, or a concert in the morning. You load all your stuff in their car. They take you to the concert. You tailgate all day, and then they bring you back with all your stuff.
Oh, man.
Or they leave you there and take all your stuff.
That could be insured, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's minor details.
That all can be insured. Like, leave.
But no, I would be I'd be big time in favor of that, because that's one of the biggest challenges is like when having to cut off the tailgate if you're the driver, and then like, especially if you're especially for me, if I'm like at a country concert and I don't want to be there in the first place and I have to drive, forget it. Once that buzz wears off, I want no part of being there, so I'd pay for that.
That is, wow. That's a good one. And also, you could just not have the car could already come fully stocked, ready to go. You know what I mean? So it's there.
Now we're getting into like a party bus type of company. Wait, does this already exist?
I don't think it does. Not specifically for tailgating. It can't, because like we would see it, because I would have used it for sure. Because think about it. You have somebody show up at your house with all your stuff except for like your pit flags, right? They have the beer in there, they have everything in there, they pick you up, it's their truck or SUV or whatever it is, and then they park the car there, and then freaking they leave, do whatever they got to do, they come back at 11 and they go home.
Wow. I'm loving this.
I don't know. I'm into this.
TM Brunch Breakdown 2020.
I am writing a letter. I'm writing a letter to myself right now.
There you
Put
go.
it in the
Isn't that is that how it works? Is that like the cheap trademark thing? You like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how
you
you
just send it in
copyright
mail.
it. Mail
Yeah,
it to yourself and never open it. Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna do that because
Amazing.
that's good. I like this idea. Wow, we brought it back and we're already making up great ideas. We're already never gonna be rich, but we're gonna figure it out.
It's productive. It's hopefully it's entertaining for the people, but it's also productive for us. Hopefully we can make something of it.
Yes.
Just wanna
Would
go on
you
trip.
take advantage of this? I mean, if you,
Protocol?
good God, if you've made it a full hour and you're still listening, would you take advantage of this service? Tweet at Brunch Breakdown and let us know. And then question number 2, would you invest in this idea?
Yes, Mr. Wonderful. Would you invest in this? Mark
Great
Cuban,
question.
would you invest in this?
Yeah.
I just want to do a Shark Tank pitch, guys. Maybe that's an episode of the Brunch Breakdown when we have nothing to talk about one week, which it probably won't happen in the like near future, but like soon. That should be it. Like, how can we get on Shark Tank, and how would our pitch go? Because I just want to go on there and like pitch something.
I think we could workshop that. Yeah, for sure. That's a menu topic.
Workshop and a lot of stuff. I like it.
We are.
I like it. We'll figure that out. Well, guys, we've hit our limit for our wives and girlfriends not to kill us. So, Dan, tell everybody where they can find the Brunch Breakdown.
They can find us everywhere. We are everywhere that you listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora coming soon, SoundCloud, Stitcher, anywhere that you listen to podcasts, find us there. Again, if there's some place that you use that you don't see us by searching Brunch Breakdown, the Brunch Breakdown podcast, let us know, and we're going to do whatever we can to get on that platform. But we're on all the big ones there, so be sure to find us wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as of last week, we're on YouTube. Almost forgot to mention that.
That's right. Round of applause.
Now,
Mr.
if you
Gates.
really want to see what's going on behind the scenes, also available on YouTube. Last week's episode was on there, as well as this one as well. So those will be consistent in the future going forward.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Mr. Gates.
And if you'd like to see
that was all you.
If you'd like to see your T-shirt featured on the Brunch Breakdown on our YouTube episodes, contact me directly.
Yes.
Don't bother going through anybody else. Just DMs are open.
You'll be wearing sponsored T-shirts, and I'll be wearing my own T-shirts that says Dan can't like everything.
Dan doesn't have a T-shirt deal. That's what it is.
Good God, guys. I will talk to you next week. Brunch Breakdown, out.
Peace.